Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you are returning, thank you as always for being here. You mean the world to me. I have more Christmas and July projects for you, so let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting.
DIY number one. So I have some scrapbook paper I'd gotten from the Hobby Lobby when it was on sale for 25 cents. I have an Arteza wood form. I forget what that's called, but and then a couple of ornaments from the Dollar Tree. I am just going to cut down my scrapbook paper so that it will fit inside of my Arteza wood palette. I'm not really sure what to call this, but I'm giving it a dry brush of my white Adirondack chalk paint and then going over it with a baby wipe. I really just want to give it kind of a whitewashed look. Ultimately, I ended up just putting a little extra paint on the wet wipe itself and rubbing it in that way. So then I am going to just adhere my scrapbook paper. You could certainly use Mod Podge. I'm just using some Aleene's tacky glue. I'm going to fit that down in and make sure that all of my sides are even and whatever else. So taking my little deer, and I clipped off the hanger and I'm going to have them facing each other here. And then I also decided I wanted to use this little Believe wood cutout that I had gotten from the Hobby Lobby. And I think it was only like $1 or $2 at most. I was actually surprised that I found this. Giving it a good coat of Mod Podge, and then I am sprinkling it with some glitter that I found that was relatively close in color tone to my deer. It's like this antique gold shade. Gathering up on my little parchment paper the rest of, or the excess of the glitter, and putting it right back in the container. I love being able to save the leftovers. So just kind of lining everything up, trying to see how it's going to look. And I decided I wanted just some little fluffy snow along the bottom. So this is actually just fiberfill. It's the stuff that I stuff my pillows with, right? So I just took a little bit of that, and we could think of it as snow, or we could think of it as perhaps like fog on the ground. And my clock is totally going off in the background, you guys. So a little holiday music for you as as we craft here. But I'm gluing down my mist, my snow, whatever we want to think of this as, and then I'm just going to glue in our little reindeer as well. And gluing that down. And then I'll also go ahead and glue down my Believe. I'm just using some hot glue, obviously, for all of these elements. And there you have it. I think this is so sweet. Let me know what you think.
DIY number two.
For this project, I have an ornament actually from the Dollar Tree. I have a pick from the Dollar Tree, some leftover picks from Hobby Lobby, and some little pine cones from the Hobby Lobby, as well as a little cardinal that I got in a pack from Amazon. And I will make sure that I have a link to the little cardinals in my Amazon storefront, which will also be linked down in my description box. So I am, true to form, pulling apart some of my picks, and also using some remnants from other picks that I had kept or torn apart in past videos. And I am just tucking in the little pieces of the greenery right now where I want them on this snowflake. I'm going to go ahead and glue down my flower as well. And you can decorate these however you want. Use your imagination. And if you have a different color scheme that you've got going on in your home, go for it. Whatever colors please your eye. So just going to get everything tucked in there and glued down and arranged the way that I want it arranged. Coming in with some more greenery and just hot gluing all of the little pieces as I go here. So adding in some little pine cones. You could add in berries, little red berries if you wanted to. You could use red poinsettia if you don't have a little red cardinal and you wanted a pop of red. You could have it all white. You could flock this if you get some of that spray flocking. I had picked some up from Home Depot, but I think I've also seen it at Walmart and other places. But I'm just getting all of my little elements set up in here. And I think I'm going to add some more greenery, yep, to the bottom here. So just getting it to where I want it and making sure that everything is secured down. So once I have one more little pine cone in here, I am going to go ahead and get my little cardinal friend on. So now he has a little clip on the bottom of his little body there, but I was having trouble connecting him, having him face the direction I wanted. So I pulled that out. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put it back in. And his little body was a little bit too hard for me to shove this back in. It does have like a little pointy nub on it, but I found that I needed a skewer because I ended up bending my little clippy. So it was easy enough to bend back there, but I recommend just using a little skewer or some sort of a little pokey tool to make your hole, or at least a little bit of a hole before you try and shove that back in there if you choose to do this. And I was able to just clip him right onto the ornament and fluff it up and get it where I wanted it. And I love this. Let me know what you think of this one.
DIY number 3.
So I'm going to be using this frame from a prior project that I decided I didn't want to use anymore. So I kind of took it apart. I'm just using the frame and the glass, which I am just wiping down with some rubbing alcohol and getting that ready. I set that aside, and I am going to be using my Cricut Explore 3 to cut out a design for this project. I'm also going to be using a piece of foam core board that I cut down to fit the frame that I showed you a moment ago. I'm just going to trim down my vinyl, weed out my design. I am using the backing of this vinyl, and I am removing the letters for this particular project because I want the white from the foam core board to show through. So I wanted to keep that nice deep blue as my background. So once I had it all weeded out, I went ahead and I burnished it onto my transfer tape. I think I was just trying to show you that there was something on the transfer tape it was a brand new package of transfer tape. And so it just had a little stuff on the outside that wasn't going to impact my design. So once I had it on the transfer tape, I went ahead and lined it up. Just be aware that when you're using foam core board, as soon as you set it down, it's going to stick. And there's no taking it up again because you're basically putting it on paper, right? Foam core board, it's like a foam layered between two pieces of paper, essentially. So just make sure you have it lined up before you let it touch. So then I am coming in with all these cute little stickers. My sweet subscriber Rose sent me these in a pack of supplies that she was no longer going to be using and wanted to share with me. And so I was just pulling out a whole bunch of these little stickers. Some of them have sparkles on them. Some of them are like a felt with a little metal star on them, and I just think that they are so sweet. So I am just applying them all around my design. It's giving it a little bit of a three-dimensional kind of look to it, which I'm in love with. So just securing these down around a little bit randomly on my picture, just again pleasing to my eye. And you can do this however you want, whatever colors you want, whatever saying you want. You can stencil your words. You don't have to have a vinyl cutter to do something like this. So once I have it the way I want it, I'm going to pop it into my frame. And because I use the foam core board and I'm not using the backing for the frame because I don't know where it is at this point, I am just stapling this directly to the flip frame with my staple gun. Easy, easy, easy. And there it is. I think it's so sweet, but let me know what you think.
DIY number 4.
So I have some Dollar Tree jingle bells and some little Dollar Tree mini bows. And I'm going to give all of my jingle bells a coat of the Adirondack white chalk paint. I was just trying to think about how I wanted to do this to make it as easy as possible. Now, to make it even easier, in hindsight, I should have just grabbed my white spray paint and sprayed these little puppies all down with that. But I didn't. So I opted to paint them one at a time and put them on this skewer. I imagine you probably could put them in a baggie with some paint, but I didn't know how gunked up the insides would be and how much paint that would end up having on the inside. So I don't know if I would recommend that method, but you could certainly try it. Excuse me. So once I had them painted, I put them on the little skewer and set that across one of my little buckets from the Dollar Tree to just allow them to dry. And once I had them all set, of course, I'm struggling with it a little bit there. I'm showing you again how I was painting them. This, again, it definitely was not the easiest way to go about it. But once I had them all dry, I laid them out here and I'm using my black Sharpie and I'm just going to write in different words. So you could write whatever you want on these. I did joy, I believe I did Santa, believe, peace, Noel. There are 6 of them in all, and I used different fonts on different bells. So I did the straight font, and then I did a script font, as you can see right here. And then once I had those all done, I went ahead and added a little jute twine hanger to them. And sorry, you guys, I was having an issue with my voice there, but I think I've got it all cleared. So once I had all of the little hangers on the bells, I am taking the little mini bows and I'm going to set a bow on top of each of our little bells here. Now I started using, it's like a twist tie that these bells are connected with, or created with, if you will. So I was trying to use that, but ultimately it was just too bulky for these cute little ornaments. And so I cut the excess of the twist tie off, making sure that it was nice and twisted and tight because it is what's holding that little bow together. And then I hot glued it to the top of each of the little ornaments. And I was just making sure that the bow looked like it was setting up the way that I wanted it and that it wasn't covering up my little words. So I think these are super cute. I hope that you like them too. But I just went ahead and continued to glue these on. I'm doing the red and the green. I did 3 green and 3 red. And take a look. Let me know what you think.
DIY number 5.
So I have a foam. This actually is from Michael's. I think it was like $3. And because I wanted one that's larger than the ones you can get at Dollar Tree. And then I have a feather boa that I picked up on Amazon for, I think it was $11. So this one's a little bit more than I normally will spend on the projects. But I saw my sweet friend Maria from Artsy Cupcake, who's actually part of this playlist. She had done something like this last year in another collab I was in with her. with a pink boa, and I thought it was so cute and such a good idea. And I figured I would do it with the white so it looks like a little snowy Christmas tree. So Maria, thank you so much for the idea. Love you to pieces. And I will also put a link in the description box for Maria's video where she did the pink one so you can see what she did. But I am basically just getting it all twirled around here. I had secured it with some hot glue at the bottom, and then I'll secure it again at the top. But I honestly didn't use any hot glue in the middle because I didn't want to mess up the feathers. Now, when I did set up the bottom, I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I was going to want to put a little trunk on the tree, a little stem, trunk, whatever. So I do end up having to adjust for that. But I have these glass candle holders from the Dollar Tree, and I had used E6000 to glue them together like a while ago, before I even started my YouTube channel, because I was trying to make decor for an upcoming wedding that didn't happen due to COVID. But I decided I wanted them apart. I was able to get them apart. You saw there I was using my knife. Please be careful if you do something like that. So using a whole bunch of hot glue, I am now going to try to set my little tree on top of the glass candle holder. But it, you know, trying to use hot glue through feathers and trying to get down into that base, it just wasn't happening. So I went ahead and I removed my boa from the base of our little tree here, and I was just being careful with it and gentle, and I cut off that string that kind of starts the boa, and I cleaned up my little candlestick holder here. Excuse me. And I went ahead and I adhered the candlestick with a good amount of hot glue again to the base of our tree, away from the feathers. And now I'm going to go ahead and, once it's cool, take the feathers and wrap it back around the base. And so it is still kind of covering up that bottom part. You know, and you know what, in hindsight, I probably didn't even need to do it on the actual bottom of the tree. I don't recall what Maria had done, but it probably would have been just as cute if I had just let the feathers hang down from that base. But let me know what you think. DIY number 6 and 7, because this is going to be a 2-for-1. So I'm starting out with one of these little ornaments. This is a DIY ornament. I think I got this one at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you can also get them at the Dollar Tree. So I'm adding in some chalk paint, and I realized rather quickly that my chalk paint was a little too thick for this method. So I ended up adding in some water. I'm trying to shake it, trying to see if it's going to work for me. It's not. So I added in some water, and then it worked perfectly. My one recommendation, if you're going to thin out your chalk paint, do it before you put it in the ball, because you'll get I think if your paint is mixed completely, you'll get a better coverage. Anyway, I set that aside to dry upside down, and now I'm moving on to our other project. So this one is also a DIY ornament. It's got a frosted look to it. And I've had this in my stash for quite some time. I don't recall if I got it from Michael's or from Hobby Lobby, but it came in a pack of something like 8 or 12. And so I'm using my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm just drawing straight lines at different lengths from the top about halfway approximately, give or take. So maybe a third to halfway down my ornament. And I'm sorry, here you can see it a little bit better what I did. Just little bits of glue, little stripes of glue. And now I'm going to cover that with glitter, just sprinkling it all over the glue and allowing it to fall onto the parchment paper that I have there, so that I can make sure that I gather up the leftover glitter and put it right back into my container later. So just making sure this is all covered, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop the top on. I'm going to put a little skewer through there and set it up to dry Well, apparently first I'm going to put some more glitter on it. I want to make sure it's nice and glittery, right? That all the glue is covered. And if you have glitter glue, you could certainly just use that and be done and less mess, right? So setting that aside to dry, I'm going to put all my glitter away back into my little tube. It always amazes me how far glitter will go. So now I'm going back to my other one, and this is, you can see how it's not completely, the coverage isn't complete, but I was okay with it. I figured it would give it a little bit more interest, but if you definitely want complete coverage, you're going to want to do as I recommended earlier and mix your paint first. So now I'm taking my glitter again, and I'm making like a little pond or a little pool of glitter on my parchment paper, because I'm going to roll this. So this is my Elmer's spray glue that I picked up from the Dollar Tree a while back. It sprays on purple and then it dries clear, but I'm just coating about the bottom half, and I felt like there was a little too much on there, so I'm just kind of wiping some of that off a little bit, and then I'm dipping it and rolling it in my glitter and just getting that nice and coated. So once I have that all coated, I'll go ahead and I'm going to set that aside to dry once again. And I just set it upside down in a plastic cup, so it could just dry. Now coming back to our other ornament that's all dry now, I'm using a dry paintbrush with nothing on it. I'm just wiping away the excess glitter that was on the ornament itself. Excuse me. And now I am taking some of my Kirkland ribbon and I am fashioning a little bow, and just a regular tie your shoelace bow is all I'm doing here, and just making sure that I've got it the right size and and even on either side. So once I had that nice and the way that I wanted it, I went ahead and created a second one, doing it the same way. Once I had them both about the same size, I went ahead and I dovetailed the ends and made sure, actually, did I dovetail them or did I do them at an angle? I can't remember now. I dovetailed them. So I'm just taking some hot glue and I am going to apply each of these bows to either side of the ornament. Now you could probably do just a single bow if that's your preference. I wanted to do a bow on either side. And then I'm going to take a little bit more ribbon and I'm going to create a little hanger for it as well with that same ribbon. So I'm going to tuck it in the little, what do you call that? The knobby thing at the top. I don't even know what you call it. But I'm tucking it through there and I'm going to tie this down close to that, and I'm going to hide my knot behind my little bows. So just make sure I've got it nice and tied off right. I'll hide that in kind of behind, oh, the whole thing kind of popped off, which is fine. And I went ahead and made sure I had it nice and tight, tucked that back in. I'm hiding it. I'll trim off the excess ribbon there in just a moment. Here we go. Trim that off. And then this is really pretty much done. I think it's so sweet. So back to our other one, I decided I was going to use some acrylic spray to just seal in that glitter so I don't end up with glitter everywhere. And now I'm taking a different kinds of Kirkland ribbon. And if you haven't heard me talk about the Kirkland ribbon, this is something I pick up at Costco, which is my local wholesale club. So if you have a BJ's or a Sam's Club, I understand that they might also carry ribbon. And it's such a great deal because you can get, it's 50 yards, so 150 feet for $7. Love it. Every single year I pick up whatever ribbon they have out that I don't already have or that's new. And they seem to have new styles each year. So for these ribbons, you can see I'm creating loops. So I realized when I cut these secondary pieces for the tails that they were probably the same length as what I had cut for the loops themselves. So if you cut 4 lengths that are all the same, you'll probably be good to go. You just create a loop with one piece of ribbon and then you tie the next piece of ribbon around the middle of it to contain all of it. Hopefully that makes sense. And so I did the same thing for both sides because we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other ornament. I'm just going to go ahead and apply my little bows to both sides of the ornament here. And then once I have the bows on, I'm gonna again do the same thing that we did before, and I am going to create a little hanger. Same exact way we did it on the other ornament. Tucking that in, going to tie that on down and strategically hide the ends behind the little bows. I'm using a little extra hot glue to make sure that everything is where I want it. And that's it. So easy, and I think it's so pretty. But let me know what you think.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the projects, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing that, and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.